Hi guys. I'm in Maine this week. I'm helping my dad move. So, had to go outside to get some quiet and hopefully nature isn't too loud. Um, my administrator interview, I got to interview a VP of Student Affairs. That was really cool and relevant for me because I already work with students at the high school level, and I think Student Affairs would be probably a good evolution or a trajectory for me from what I'm already doing. Um, so, this administrator uses servant leadership as her primary leadership theory. And fortunately, I got to do this interview really early. So, it was actually prior to our discussion on servant leadership. And so, I've had a lot of time to mull over this leadership theory, which has been helpful because I think it is something that I'll use in my own opportunities for leadership. But the main things that I want to touch on that this VP utilizes, or it's important to her in regards to servant leadership, are empathy and not utilizing a one-size-fits-all approach. And then also, she just mentioned that she's not a heavy-handed person, and servant leadership works well for her because it aligns with her personality in that way. And that makes sense to me. I empathize with that. I think I'm similar. So I just thought that that made sense. So I think for me, servant leadership and kind of what I learned through chatting with this administrator is that one of the important aspects is the idea of looking at people, well, of course, not one size fits all, but like looking at what people are good at and what they're passionate about, and getting to know them on a level to know where they're going to do the best work, where they're going to be the most effective, and where they're going to feel the most meaning in the work that they do. So I think I will carry that into any leadership opportunities that I have, because I think it makes sense, but also that's the way I like to be assigned tasks. I think it's like a high dignity way of doing things, like really looking at people as individuals and not just numbers and task fulfillers, I guess. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to talk about was how one of the challenges that my administrator had encountered, well, it was interesting, kind of disheartening, actually. What she had said is, you get to the administrative level and you have all of this expertise, all of these ideas, all of this creativity, and now, like, you're in a place where you can kind of direct what's happening. You're at a higher level of control, and yet, she just mentioned that she gets caught up in things like replacing staff members and rebuilding teams when people leave. And there's a lack of time for projects and innovation. And I think that's so unfortunate. I mean, I understand that that's kind of life and we have to do managerial tasks and processes, but I hope that, well, it seems like kind of a disheartening thing to get to that level and not get to innovate in the way that you had anticipated you'd be able to. So, and I'm sure like I would hope that once they get through staffing issues, although those are ongoing, that maybe she would feel like she has more time for that. I would hope. But yeah, interesting problem to have. And then lastly, she had mentioned that being in administration is isolating and that you have to avoid looking as though you have favorites. You have to kind of stay distanced from your employees. And of course, you can have camaraderie with the rest of your administrative team, but you're kind of at the top of this mountain, and you're by yourself a little bit. So I guess interesting things to consider if you're wanting to go into administration. But yeah, I thought it was a really great assignment. It was a super interesting interview. I learned a ton. It was very introspective for me because it just brought up lots of different scenarios where I got to think about like how would I handle this? And I've thought about that in the entirety of this course because everybody's had a slew of employers or bosses in their life. So you can really kind of dissect like, well, this person did things this way. This person did things in a way I wouldn't have. But with this administrator that I got to speak to, I think I lucked out because she aligned with the way I think about things. So that was really helpful. But yeah, that's about it. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you.